I really liked sports and I really disliked school. When I was in school, I didn't do well. Like, I didn't enjoy being there. What they were talking about to me just was not relevant to me. And, the focus of school was, let's focus on the things you're not good at. And for me, it didn't make any sense. I'm like, why would I focus on something I'm not good at and I don't like? Let's figure out what I do like and what I am good at, and let's become great at those things. You can't focus, let's medicate the kid. It's like, well, hold on. Let's actually figure out what they're good at. Let's figure out what they like. Let's figure out a style of learning, right? I mean, the schooling system, it rewards the numerical and the linguistics learner. And I'm not those guys. I'm neither of those. And so when it comes to school, I didn't buy into it much. I didn't really care about my grades. I was maybe like a B student, whatever. But what really got me excited was when I found sports and snowboarding. I was like, man, this is what I love to do. I can do this for 10, 12 hours a day and time flies by and no one's telling me I need to do anything differently. No one's pushing me. I'm just pushing myself. And so that was really the moment for me, in early high school, about ninth grade, where I come across snowboarding. And for the first couple years, it was just for fun. Like, I just love doing this every day. And after a couple years, I made a pretty clear decision. Like, I'm going to become a pro snowboarder. It got so serious. It was like, I'm going to make it or die trying. By 3 or 4 years into it, I think that came from just years of snowboarding, having a great time, and then seeing the end goal in my mind's eye for long enough. Right? Seeing the end goal and the idea of me traveling the world and being a professional snowboarder, getting paid, being able to help my parents financially, that idea, thought about enough, created a burning desire. And I think about that's huge too. Like, if you're looking to do anything, desire is the ultimate driver. Once you have a burning desire and you have to do it, you can just feel it deep in your chest. It's not hard to do it. You're not forcing yourself to do anything. Mm-hmm. You can't not do it, right? When you can't not do it, you can't not think about it. You're in a sweet spot. Go hard, enjoy it, go down that rabbit hole. All I can say is, based off my experience, getting into something that was my sweet spot, I love to do it. I do think there is a lot to loving what you're doing. It tells you that you are in something that you are naturally gifted at. And so for me, it was really more, what am I naturally gifted at? What do I love to do? And then where am I headed? What is the outcome? Is it clear in my mind's eye? And I was really clear on what it looked like to be a professional snowboarder, because I had these videos of these guys who were pro snowboarders, and I would watch these tapes like religiously. I'd burn them out, right? And so it was really clear at a young age what professional snowboarding looked like, and I thought about it all the time. And so for me, that inner pull, it just came from the repetition of thinking about something that was extremely exciting, and then the laser focus for years. No matter what happens, we'll course correct, but I'm not quitting until I get to that goal. And I don't know if there's much more to it than that. It feels somewhat simple to me when I look at it like that, and the grit and determination is really the separator, as long as you're in your strength zone. There was a decade of struggle before I finally started to get paid, and I go back to some of the years that I spent in Salt Lake City. I grew up in Minnesota and got to a point where I knew I wanted to be a professional snowboarder, but I was not nearly good enough to get paid by these brands yet. Nothing, not even on the radar of these brands. And so we moved to Salt Lake City, about 5 of us guys who everyone had this goal of being a pro snowboarder. And I moved out with a couple guys. There was 3 of them, I guess, were pretty big party animals. Actually, 4 of them were party animals. And so I spent 4 full years with these guys, living in a pretty beat up house, working at Blockbuster, Payway, Red Lobster, biking to work, and just went through massive setback, massive failure, injury upon injury. And these guys would constantly want me to drink, get drunk with them, and smoke a lot of weed with them. And it was every night. And for me, I was really clear. I was there for one reason, it was to be a snowboarder. And so for many years, all the years, I would always say no, and I would pass on it. And after enough time of that, it started to, really put a thorn in my side. It would make me angry, right? I'm out there feeling like a little bit alone. And while you got these party animals who I can see now looking back, it made them uncomfortable, right? They knew what they were there for. They're there to snowboard. And for whatever reason, they didn't have the ability to say no, and they got distracted. Going back to distraction. Like, their distractions took over, and they started to fall off one at a time, year after year after year. One guy went back to college. One guy got addicted to pills from an injury. One guy just was a drinker. One guy committed a crime. I mean, it was just like watching them drop like flies. And so it was challenging indeed, but I wouldn't change it, because the pushback and the frustration that I built up over the years, I ended up using that anger. You know, every night they would mess with me and they'd pull at me, and the next day I would ride a little bit angry. I'd ride kind of pissed off.
Yeah, the chip on your shoulder.
Yeah,
you
chip
need
on
that.
your shoulder, right? And so like I can't say that it wasn't a good thing, because it ended up being a good thing. And I think that's something that's worth, you know, realizing and noticing, is that you got to take your challenges, your problems, your setbacks, and you got to turn them into motivation. You know, it could have been pretty easy to say, oh yeah, well, what was me? They're being mean, and feel crappy and get defeated, or, you know, fight back. And so I'm grateful that for whatever happened, it wasn't like I thought about this. I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to be angry tomorrow. It just happened. And so the process of coming up in Salt Lake City, and then the biggest thing that happened is, you know, year 4, I think I'm going to make it. Year 1, I get out there. I think I'm going to be this pro snowboarder. Nothing happens. Year 2, I think I'm going to be a pro snowboarder. Nothing happens. Year 3, I get out there late. We were at a handrail at this really famous spot in Salt Lake City, and I came off a rail, dislocated my kneecap, tore my meniscus, tore my cartilage. My season was over. They sewed up my meniscus. It took me 12 months to come back, and I'm like 21 at this point. And in snowboarding, if you're not getting paid by the time you're 22, 23, these brands, you're like, hey, dude, you're just too old. It's going to take us 3 to 4 years to market you before we're going to see a return on you. You're going to be 27. By that time, you're probably done. And so I'm coming out there my last year. My really good friend, Mike Pettit, this is year 4, says, hey, you should go to Aspen, Colorado, and you should compete in the Aspen Open. And I'm, of course, broke, you know, working at TGI Fridays, bussing tables. And he's like, I'll pay for you to go. I'll drive you there. I'll pay for your entry fee. I'll pay for your hotel. If you win, pay me back. If you don't win, all good. Mike and I drive across the country to Aspen, and I get there, and there's like 250 up and coming kids, because an open, anyone can go. Anyone who thinks they're anybody can show up, pay their entry fee, a couple $100. You get 2 runs. If you finish top 10, you go to finals. If you don't, you go home. And so day 1 for qualifiers, I end up finishing 6th. Go back to the hotel that night, come back the next day, don't know what happened to anybody else, but I end up winning this contest. And so boom, I end up podium, first place. So Jack Matrani was 2nd and Tim Humphreys was 3rd. 2 other guys that ended up being professional as well. That's when their career took off as well. But that was the moment where, you know, I was with a lot of these brands for years, and they knew who I was. I was on their radar. I'd get a couple snowboards here and there. But that was the moment where, you know, Blue Montgomery, one guy at Capita Snowboards, was like, hey, you should come to Trans World Snowboarding Team Challenge. You should come to Super Park. And going to these events put you on a platform or a stage where all these other brand managers were there. And so, you know, one after another, I started signing these contracts, and my snowboarding career took off and had almost a 15-year run traveling the world. It was amazing. Yeah, I mean, there were many, many, many moments that led up to that moment. I do think that had that moment not happened, there would have been something else that would have eventually popped, because, and I will say too, I mean, you know, luck is when preparedness meets opportunity. It is true. So it looks like I was kind of lucky, but I spent the last decade grinding, right? But I will say, when opportunity comes, if you got to attack it, you got to go for it. I mean, what do you got to lose? I would say with real estate right now, the biggest thing is it's what you know, right? So if you're getting into real estate right now, it is not the right time to get in. This is not the beginner's market. To be able to go and actually be awarded a deal, to raise money, to actually be able to reposition a deal, very difficult to do. So depending on where you are and what you know, your track record, experience, knowledge, etc., it may not be the right time. But for those that know what they're doing, it's the best time we've seen. I mean, it's the best time I've seen since 2012.